Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's Niall, and I'm delighted to be joined by my fellow Irishman for this one, Paul Kelly. And we're in reaction mode here to the breaking news that Katie Taylor will finally rematch Amanda Serrano on July 20th in Dallas, Texas, on the undercard of Jake Paul and Mike Tyson. It'll be live on Netflix, and yeah, of course. These two met in an absolute epic back in 2022. One of, if not the best female fight we've ever seen, to be honest with you. The rematch was meant to take place last year before an injury for Serrano to withdraw. And of course, Chantel Cameron stepped in, and we know what happened from there then with the two fights between Katie Taylor and Chantel Cameron. So, Paul, let's jump into it. Hope you're well, first of all. And yeah, just want to get your reaction to this news. As I mentioned there, it's not Chantel Cameron, the trilogy, which we thought it might be, but it's surely as good as, is it? As we mentioned off camera, if that first fight is anything to go by, we're in for a treat again. What do you think of this fight being announced for July 20th?
The fight. I absolutely love the fight. I think you're mad if you think that if you're mad if anyone complains about this fight. Let's be honest. Yes, the Chantel Cameron trilogy made total sense because of, one apiece, and they have to have the decider. I completely the first fight between Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. There was unfinished business there. Katie Taylor obviously got the nod. A lot of people think it was a draw would have been a fair result. Even some saying Serrano. It was just such an incredible fight, as you mentioned, fight of the year 2022. Now, obviously, which is crazy to think it was that long ago. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was an absolutely incredible fight, a war, one of those where both girls are so skilled, but at some stages they just put all technique and schooling out of the window and just went hell for leather, didn't they? It's an
Yeah.
absolute barnstormer. I'm absolutely loving the fact that this rematch is happening. I think with Katie Taylor, it was either the Chantel Cameron trilogy or the Serrano rematch. They're the only fights that made sense for her. It makes total sense, obviously, as well for Amanda Serrano. And fair play to her, like she just doesn't care what weight the fight's at. She just goes for it. So we've got to take my hat off to Amanda Serrano as well there. Obviously you mentioned the undercard of Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. We'll not talk about that, but I love the fact it's on Netflix. Think of the amount of global views this is going to get, eyeballs on this fight, and thoroughly deserve it. After the first fight, there's going to be millions of people watching this, and I absolutely can't wait for it. Let's be honest, all boxing fans are going to be tuning in. This is the main event. This is the one we're all going to be watching. We'll probably turn it off after, and maybe not wanting to watch the main event. Some people might, who remains to be seen. But yeah, mate, absolutely love this fight. Absolute cracker, and yeah, I can't wait for July 20th already.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything you said there. I can't wait myself. And although we're speaking from a slightly biased perspective, being Irish, it is a great fight. The world saw it on in 2022, headline in Madison Square Garden. It was an absolute epic. And yeah, as you say, the less said about the main event here, the better. But I never thought I'd see the day where Katie Taylor will be fighting on the same card as Mike Tyson, which is quite unusual to be honest with you. But yeah. It's a pity it's not Ireland, to be honest, but it's going to be a great occasion. And as you mentioned, Netflix, a lot of eyeballs on it. So yeah, Dallas, Texas, July 20th. Before we get into predictions for this, I just want to ask you a couple of quick questions. Of course, we mentioned the Chantel Cameron situation, and I don't mean to be too I don't mean to say this in a negative way, really, but in your opinion, is Katie Taylor's legacy in any way damaged by not taking the trilogy? Of course, Chantal Cameron was very kind of vocal about how the second fight went down and, not giving a third fight and the third fight if should be in England. Do you think Katie Taylor's legacy is damaged here in any way by not going straight back in with Chantal Cameron?
No, mate. I mean, I personally don't think so. Just because of the fight she's taken instead.
Mm.
It's not like she's not fighting Chantel Cameron and she's fighting someone that we haven't really heard of, or kind of a B level fighter. What's to say that, depending on how this obviously goes in July, it's really there. I don't see Katie Taylor fighting anyone else before she hangs up her gloves, other than Amanda Serrano or and Chantel Cameron. They're the only two people I see her fighting. I don't see her hanging around for that next crop of, so to speak, people coming through. So, you know, win, lose, or draw, depending on how the fight goes. Obviously, if she wins, that's 2-0 against Serrano. She could then revisit the Chantel Cameron trilogy. Again, they're so situational and depends on what happens in the fights. But then, as you say Serrano won this for argument's sake, or it was a draw or another really close one. Then she'd be looking at a trilogy for Serrano makes sense, and a trilogy for the Cameron fight makes sense. So I don't think it damages her legacy, mate. I don't know what you think. Again, I don't know whether that's maybe a biased opinion or not because we all love Katie Taylor. But I don't see it damaging her legacy. Let Katie Taylor's shown she'll fight anybody. She was written off in that Chantel Cameron rematch. I for one thought that maybe her best days were behind her, and how silly I got egg in my face, but I was happy to. After that, so I don't think that she's damaging her legacy or anything like that, mate. I just taking my hat off to her. This is another absolute barnstormer.
Yeah, no, I totally agree again. I just thought I'd ask the question. As I say, there's a lot of talk from the Chantel Cameron camp after that last one about, how things went down and should they or shouldn't they have fought, but I don't think so. I think Kate Taylor's legacy is set in stone. It was even a huge risk fighting Chantel Cameron in the first place when Amanda Serrano pulled out last year. So I don't think you can accuse her of kind of ducking or swerving and for an easier test. And as you mentioned, it's not like she's fighting a softer touch. She went through hell with Amanda Serrano in 2022. So it's definitely not an easier touch, but I agree. The only two names that make sense are Serrano and Chantel Cameron. So yeah, that's just our thoughts on the fight. So let's get down to it now. Early predictions. The fight's just been announced this afternoon. We saw what happened in 2022. It was an epic. Serrano even looked like she was going to get Kate Taylor out there at some stages during that fight. She hurt herself kind of badly, it seemed. Kate Taylor won by split decision. How does it go down this time? Is a repeat or revenge in Texas on July 20th?
Mate, I can't sit here and back against Katie Taylor. Now, just after I half wrote her off against Chantel Cameron in the rematch. I did think Chantel Cameron would win the second fight. And, she just proved that you cannot write her off at all. You just can't. Yeah, biased aside, whatever, think that we're just saying this because of where we're from, but you know, you just can't write her off. You're a fool to write her off. I'm a fool for writing her off in the rematch. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people are. Just thinking, why did I ever doubt her? So I don't think you can doubt her again. I'll go, I'll go the same result, another split or something for Katie Taylor. I don't see anything other than another thriller here. Amanda Serrano will play her part. It'll be extremely close either way. Whoever gets their hand raised, it'll be razor thin decision either way, I think, mate. But I'm gonna go with Katie Taylor. What about you?
Again, you've hit the nail on the head there in what you said. I wrote Katie Taylor off after that first Chantel Cameron fight, and I felt ashamed for doing so after. She proved why she's so great. Not to be too biased there in this call, but she did prove why she's the legend that she is. I just hope, like, it's clear that she's not what she was in her heyday. Even in the rematch, she pulled it out of the fire and she produced one big performance, and I just hope she has a big performance in her again. So I'm gonna say she does. I'm gonna say she wins this on points. It wouldn't surprise me if it was another split decision. But I think she'll have enough to dig it out of fire again. And if it's anything like the first fight, we're in for a major treat. So I'm going Kate Taylor points as well. And another quick thing we forgot to mention is it's up now at 140. The last fight was at 135 and Serrano moving up again. So it's how she kind of handles that extra weight will be interesting to see. But yeah, I'm just praying it's like the first fight, entertainment wise, and I'll go Katie Taylor points. So yeah, that's our predictions and reaction. To be honest, to the breaking news that Katie Taylor is going to rematch Amanda Serrano 2 years on from their classic at Madison Square Garden, July 20th. Netflix, Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. Make it out what you will, but as Paul mentioned, this is the real main event of the night for boxing fans, and especially Irish boxing fans. So yeah, let us know what you think in the comments. Will it be repeat or revenge? Are you disappointed it's not Katie Taylor, Chantel Cameron 3? And yeah, as always, don't forget, drop us a like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube, follow all social media channels. There's always great content coming up. And Paul, yeah, speak again next time.
Up my mouth. Cheers.
Cheers.